2NURFM News for our sponsor, Cartier Jewellery. Always unique, always quality. Toronto Town Square.
It's 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Belinda De Lasheras with 2NURFM Hunter News. The Greens insist a greener and cleaner Hunter could be on the cards if the party's elected at the upcoming March state election. It comes after the party officially launched its bid for the seats of Newcastle and Wallsend, with a new energy plan on the agenda to help stabilise household power bills, eliminate greenhouse gas emissions and create thousands of new jobs. New South Wales Greens MP John Kay says the Hunter's clean energy changes would enable residents to enjoy an environmentally and economically stable future.
A greener energy economy would mean more jobs, a healthier atmosphere, lower greenhouse gas emissions and lower household energy bills. It means in the long run that the future is secured both economically and in terms of the environment.
Medowie residents have called upon Port Stephens MP Kate Washington to put a local high school on the state election agenda. The Department of Education brought land for a high school in Medowie, but the school is yet to be built. Kate Washington says the effect of no high school in the area extends to primary school students.
We've got 1,000 primary-age students in Medowie itself. If you include the surrounding townships, that's another 1,000 primary-age students. We've got the numbers. Department of Education has owned the land in Medowie, designated for a high school since 1983. So we have the numbers, we have the land. It's time for a public high school.
But Port Stephens MP Craig Bowman says Medowie's population isn't large enough to meet the demand needed for a public high school.
The population growth in Medowie and Raymond Terrace does not justify another high school. When Kings Hill develops to its capacity of about 12,000 people, and when Medowie's population increases by another 6,000, there will obviously be a demand, and the department and the ministry are monitoring the population figures very, very closely.
Tourism spending in the Hunter has reached its highest point since records began, reaching $2.2 billion a year. This year's figures have seen an 8.4% rise on the same time last year, breaking the $2 billion mark in the year to September 2014. The figures can be contributed to a lower Australian dollar and the 8.8 million tourists seen in the area in the year to September 2014. The Cancer Council is calling for a slash and ban on smoking in the Hunter, following data indicating a high concentration of tobacco retailers near the region's schools. The New South Wales health stats identify a link between the proximity of outlets to schools and the likelihood young smokers will purchase their own cigarettes. Cancer Council Regional Manager Shane Connell says the range of health risks could see young lives lost.
Everyone knows that smoking causes cancer. We at the Cancer Council consider that about 2/3 of all cancers are probably preventable due to lifestyle factors, things like nutrition, exercise, keeping safe from the sun. But tobacco really bears the greatest burden of that statistic.
It's hoped a major upgrade of Plattsburgh Park at Wallsend will be finished in time for the start of the 2015 baseball season. Newcastle Council has provided $20,000 on top of $25,000 from the Department of Sport and Recreation and $20,000 from the White Sox Baseball Club. Lord Mayor Nuatali Nelms says stage 1 of the project is currently underway, with a tall steel mesh backnet already completed.
We have a baseball diamond planned, as well as a dugout for the players and for the scorers. And as you can see, we already have the steel cage up behind us now. So just what you need to play a great game of baseball in Newcastle.
Meanwhile, White Sox President Phil Davies says it means they'll finally have a home ground after a decade of fundraising.
We run typical fundraising events like trivia nights. And we did run a canteen up until 3 years ago when we were off our ground. We do a session at the Bunnings store and a little bit of sponsorship from Wallsend Sports, who we're now got an association with.
In finance, the All Ords is up 35.3 points at 55.86 and $1 is buying 77.82 US cents. Now with sport, Annabelle Regan.
It's D-Day for the Newcastle Jets, with owner Nathan Tinkler hauled before the FFA for a last-ditch crisis meeting in Sydney. It comes after he missed Saturday's deadline to mend operational issues and clear the club's debts, including $140,000 owed to Northern New South Wales Football and unpaid superannuation to players and staff. It's on top of news the Jets may not have enough players to meet the A-League's 20-member policy, even after finalising the contracts of South Korean defender Lee Kae-ju and veteran keeper Jesse Van Straten. The Knights have bowed out at the Auckland Nines with a 30-6 quarter-final loss to eventual champion South Sydney. Prop Pat Veve told the Knights TV the support of his home crowd made all the difference.
After every game, I went into the stands, went and saw some family, some friends. It was real good seeing familiar faces.
And Newcastle's Kurt Fernley is celebrating after taking out the wheelchair mile in Saturday night's Hunter Track Classic with a time of 3 minutes 22. That's sport. I'm Annabelle Regan.
2 NURFM News time is 1:05.